What is up, Mentors Collective? So, today you're going to get two high level marketers shooting the shit about one of the kind of most talked about things in business, which is the website. In fact, a lot of people will put off everything else until their website is absolutely perfect. But how important is it? What should you be using to build and host your website? What elements should be on there? Do you even need one? On this episode, I've got one of the I'd say highest level experts that I know in web design. He's got a large web design agency called Humor. They've got a team of nearly 70 across 11 different countries. They've served customers like 23andMe, Boston Dynamics, Live Nation, the United Nations, big companies. So when we're talking about websites, this is really as high level as it gets. So Jeff, I'm honored to have you on the show today and talk about specifically kind of B2B website design. And hopefully we get some pearls and gems out here for the audience.
For sure. I always love talking to other marketers and especially nerding out about website stuff. So I appreciate you having me on and happy to get into it.
Me too. I love talking to like experts in one craft of marketing because marketing is such a big umbrella. I consider myself kind of a Swiss Army knife. I like to know how to do everything at like a medium level. So I do our own website design. I do our own funnel building, our own automation, CRM build outs, run our own ads. But this is where I really learn kind of the deep, dirty stuff about like what is the most important and the nuances, which is really where the magic happens. So let's start with websites. You know, how have you seen them evolve and since you've started Humor? Obviously, the technology is changing, consumers and buying habits are changing. So what have the trends done?
So we started back in 2011. So things have changed.
Long time. Yeah.
Yeah, quite dramatically. We actually right when responsive web design was even becoming a kernel of an idea is kind of when Humor started, and we were one of the first companies to really adopt responsive web design at that time, because back in the day people would actually end up having two sites. They would have a mobile site and they would have a desktop site.
Crazy.
So yeah, a lot has changed, and it's been pretty crazy. I think there's kind of been like an ebb and flow, right? So when we started, not every company had a website, or if they did, it was definitely an afterthought. I would say in the like mid 2010s, more people started to really invest in their website. Then the pandemic happened. I think people were just like, oh crap, like I can't go to trade shows. I can't get in front of people. I need some sort of digital presence that's going to act as my 24-hour salesperson. And they like really started to invest in websites. I I see there being basically like two divergence right now when it comes to a website. So like the really small brick and mortar business
Mm-hmm.
probably doesn't need a site or doesn't need a very sophisticated website. Like those individuals can have, their presence built into social media or Google Business or what have you, and that becomes their hub. But for larger enterprises, B2Bs, etc., websites are more important now than ever because, I mean, as you know, you work across a bunch of different channels from a marketing perspective. Algorithms and stuff change constantly, right? So, a website is kind of like your main hub and where you can really own an audience. And I think businesses are becoming more and more aware of like, well, I actually need to own a list. I actually need to have control of my messaging, have control of what I put out there. Websites kind of like the best way to do that. So I think B2Bs, even larger direct to consumer brands, like they're starting to really lean into their website, becoming more and more a hub for their customers, for getting information out there, all that.
I love how you describe it as a hub because that's kind of how I see it too. And there's this whole conversation in marketing, websites versus funnels. Which ones do you need? Do you need both? What's the difference? And I like to think of our website, otterpr.com, as the hub. We've got the menu bar with the case studies and the About Us page where people can kind of learn whatever they want to learn about our company, spend that time, do all their research. But we're using funnels kind of for a whole separate purpose. I'd love to hear what is a funnel? What is a website? How are they different? Do you need both?
Yeah, so I think the best websites from a lead gen perspective are actually um, like a really well interconnected funnel, let's say, right? Like so in the I guess traditional perspective of lead pages, right? And there's some big players out there that specialize in just kind of creating those types of lead funnels. You kind of have a landing page that presents like an initial like entry offer, and then you'll have pages that are subsequent to that that kind of like build up on that offer as you go down the funnel, right? um, a website can be that at a much larger scale. So um, the way that we structure sites maybe not necessarily looks like your traditional lead funnel that you would see, but very much has the same type of principles, right? So it is very much not positioned about the company themselves. Everything is positioned about who they serve. So when you come to a website and I want to buy something, let's say it's a B2B service, I want to understand how you help make my life easier, better, make me more money, you know, those are the things that we need to speak to, right? The customer is the hero in this positioning, not the business. The business is the guide who helps the hero succeed in their journey.
Right.
So um if you construct a website well, right, like that, no matter what page you enter in on, if you have multiple offers, because again, most large scale B2Bs have multiple offers and things, that entry point is that initial offer, that low cost. I'm going to build trust. I'm going to kind of like ramp you up. Then you engage and you're brought into the next step, which maybe is maybe you're exchanging information for a free resource, and now the next step is setting up a demo call, and then maybe the next step is purchasing an intro service or something like that that's lower cost, and you kind of go down that chain. It's the same concept as if you were doing it with the lead funnel. The thing is, you're just doing it more broadly with your website.
Sure.
Um,
On that note, what is the right structure for a website? People are always talking about, do I need a menu bar? Should I put my case studies and some social proof on there? How do you tend to structure your website? Is there a template that you typically follow? And let's talk about agencies for now. Like B2B, you're building a website for another agency. How are you going to lay this thing out?
so I actually there's something that I could probably share with your audience as like a side to this. That's kind of my landing page formula that has proven to be really really successful. It can take some different shapes, but ultimately it kind of breaks down to this. When you open up a page, you want to have a very clear statement that says what you do, and then immediately follows up with the value of what that service is, right? Then you want to have what I refer to as an empathy statement. So you're basically level setting with the person who's visiting the website, letting them know like you understand their challenges, you understand what is making their life difficult, and you feel like they deserve a better path forward, right? That is a really powerful one-two punch on any page, whether it's your home page, a services page, a product page, etc. Um, then as you go down the page, it's kind of this sandwiching effect of um, trust, which trust can take many different factors. It could be a logo list of your clients, it could be case studies, it could be testimonials, it could be video testimonials, it could be statistics and research. Like there's a lot of different things that you can pull on as levers for trust. But trust, um, uh, pain point and benefit, trust, pain point and benefit, trust, pain point and benefit down a page,
Hmm.
because you're addressing their challenges from different directions. You're showing them the value of what you're offering. Then you're using trust to back up those statements, and then you pretty much end it with what I um, refer to as the call to inaction. So the call to inaction is basically what it's easier to do nothing than it is to do something, right? So not making any choice is often much easier than making any sort of choice. So you need to show them why making no choice is not in their best interest and why making the next step, taking the action, is the right move.
Have you used
So
that in a lot of your sales pages? Like, this is the cost of not signing up today, and then you list all the things that they're missing
yeah.
out on. Does that still typically work?
So I don't necessarily, it's not always a list of, um, it doesn't always necessarily need to be in the form of a bulleted list in terms of what doesn't work,
Sure.
but it could be, again, like drilling home like one really powerful pain point, and for who you serve, it's going to differ, right? Like some people, um, finances might be their biggest pain point. For others, it might be time. For others, it might be prestige, right? Like, or a lack of prestige is a pain point. So there's a lot of different ways that you can kind of pull those cords a little bit to get somebody to emotionally connect and want to act. Um, but yeah, like in terms of that last section, that's your last stab at going, okay, you read all my stuff, you know what we offer, you know that there's others that trust us and see the value in what we're doing. You could do nothing, but this is what it will cost you.
Right.
Then they take that step, they move forward. And on the back half, that's when you kind of have those other mechanisms that, uh, like just getting them to act is really the start of it, right? Like that's the very start of their journey. Now you have to deliver value. You have to prove to them that there's more value to be delivered.
Of course.
And that goes beyond just the website itself. You have to have a sales team and a production team that actually can deliver on these promises. But yeah, ultimately, that's kind of like a really good formula for any business to uh, succeed in that scenario.
Cool. Now, building websites for the past, almost 15 years, crazy. They've become a lot more accessible, right? You can go on Shopify and launch an e-com store in a few clicks. You can get WordPress for free. And I don't think there's any excuse for any business not to have a website. You can go on Fiverr and have someone build you one for $100. So I'd love to talk to you about like the lower end of websites to the higher end of websites, because you build websites for some of the biggest companies that exist right now. But what are some of the options available to the brick and mortar business or the startup who's just starting out? Like, what should they do? What technology should they use? Where should they go to buy a website? How much should they pay? And then I'd love to compare that with like a bigger company. How much should they pay? Should it be a fully custom website? What does that look like? Talk to
Yeah.
me.
It's such a loaded question, right? Like I get that question all the time is like, what does a website cost? What should I invest? The For the lower end of the market, right? And I'm talking like, your local flower shop or auto body shop, or you're really like local brick and mortar businesses. I don't think they need a very sophisticated website at all. I would actually encourage them to use something like a Squarespace or a Wix, where it's like really accessible, low cost, low maintenance. Um, I, like WordPress is an amazing tool. We built tons of enterprise level sites using WordPress, but there is a maintenance aspect to it, right? Like if
There
you
is. We use
don't
it
keep
as
it
well.
updated, you can find yourself in some serious problems. So if you're not technical, if you're not really relying on your website to be a main driver of business, I think those platforms are amazing platforms to put a professional looking site out there, have full control of it so you can control the content, the imagery, and everything else. Um,
Lots of great
and
templates and
lots of
the
free
basic
templates.
functionality that most people need, right? You can do e-com stuff on there, book appointments.
And to your point, you can find somebody on Fiverr or Upwork or any of these other sites that will do it very, very affordably.
Yeah.
So
Do you have a preference on which of those? You mentioned Wix and Squarespace. If you were, say you're consulting one of these local flower companies and you have to pick one, like where should they go to build their website? Is there one that's better than the other?
I personally would prefer Squarespace over
Mm-hmm.
Wix. I just feel like there's more guardrails in place, so to speak, with Squarespace. Um, and even though I think it's a little bit more expensive than Wix from a cost perspective, I do find the interface of it to be more intuitive than a Wix site.
Cool. That's very helpful. All right, let's leapfrog over to big agencies, corporate companies. WordPress is what you build on. Our main website is also built on WordPress, and I would agree there's a lot of maintenance. In fact, we have a developer on retainer now for all the different stuff that's going wrong, just updating plugins and themes so nothing breaks, because stuff does tend to break on there.
Mm-hmm.
And our website was very expensive. We spent multiple 5 figures building our website with all the custom imagery and designs. So talk to me, like, what do you recommend for a company that is running paid traffic to their website? It's a much bigger investment for them. Should it be built on WordPress?
Yeah. So I would say any business that falls within like mid-market parameters. So for us, while we do work with some really big names, the majority of our clients are somewhere between like 25 and $100 million in revenue, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of in that sweet spot. The benefit of WordPress is that it's open source. So there's no, like recurring software license or fee associated with it. Even when you're talking about a platform like Webflow, right? At that size of business, you really need to have Webflow Enterprise in order for it to be successful for that scale of business. And then your entry point's about $2,000 a month, give or take, just to have that software in place. There's other tools out there like Sitecore, for instance. We have clients that use Sitecore and switch to WordPress. They're paying $200,000 a year for their Sitecore licenses just to have their website exist, right? Like not even talking about
That's
any
disgusting.
improvements to it.
That's great. I never even heard of that tool. I guess that's probably an enterprise like website builder, like Webflow. What does that do?
Yeah, it's a .NET based platform. It's been around for a really long time. It actually predates like WordPress and Drupal and some of these other platforms.
Gotcha. So maybe older companies who have been using it for a long time, and it's tough to get off of something once you've been on it for so long.
It's also one of those things where it is very locked down. So if a company is hyper security focused and wants absolutely no variables, it's a really good solution for that. So you'll see like a lot of government sites and stuff like that run off of it. But anyway, that's an aside.
Yeah.
When with a bigger business, right? Like I know it is more accessible than ever to build a website, right? The barrier of technology has been lowered. However, that creates a unique problem, right? Like there's a lot more noise and there's a lot more stuff being published on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
So to be effective, you need to focus more on strategy now than ever when it comes to positioning and structure and messaging and design and all those other aspects that go into creating a site. So I think a bigger focus with larger companies is we're not just looking at a website as an execution from a design and a development standpoint. We're looking at it as a serious business tool. How is this going to position a business as a market leader? How is this going to resonate with their customers? How is this going to resonate with prospective applicants, right? Like we're in a job market where finding really talented people is challenging. So the focus or the goal of the website starts to shift. It starts to become more integrated into the business itself. So that inherently requires more thinking, more strategy, more planning. And when we're building a site for those types of customers, could you purchase a template and throw that up there for a couple $1,000s and put stuff in it? Sure. But is it going to check off all those boxes in terms of being able to resonate with the audiences that it needs to resonate? Probably not. So I think the big difference is it becomes less of a executable exercise and more of we're going to sit down, we're going to strategically plan out who you are, where you're going, who you need to communicate to, and all the different levers that we can pull with your website to help achieve that. So it could be leaning more into careers section that highlights more culture and DE&I and, you know, integrates a third-party job board so it's really seamless to apply for jobs, right? And like that's the main problem we're solving. Or it could be that we are, leaning into turning the website into more of a resource center and creating a suite of tools and things that the customers find really valuable so that they come back to the website or even use the website as a discovery platform for, what they're trying to sell, right? Like you see that with tons and tons of SaaS companies now where they have these sprawling libraries. They're even giving away free courses. I mean, it really runs the gamut. So that's the difference, right? Like you go from, I need a website that has my location and contact information and maybe some images of the space or flowers or whatever it is to this is a multifaceted business tool that is helping me recruit more candidates. It's helping me sell more deals. It's helping position me within a space as a leader. It's helping educate my customers. That's kind of the main difference.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a powerful tool. We have people coming to our website organically from SEO search all the time, or from talking to their friends. The first thing they do is go to the website. So if you're running a business like that, it's super worth it to invest in the strategy, in the custom designs, the videos. Like websites leave an impression. It's one of the most important things for that first impression. But super accessible. Like you said, we've got Elementor templates that we buy. I've learned how to click and drag things around. Hear the dogs terrorizing me. But like you said, because it's so accessible, it's super impressive that you've been able to grow an agency in this space, especially with web design being a hyper-competitive industry and a lot of times a commoditized industry. I'd love to ask, because I work with a lot of agency owners that have boring, hyper-competitive offers. How have you been able to scale it to the size that you have and earn the business of some of these some of these giant clients? What's been your strategy?
So it's pretty simple, honestly. It's really investing in the work that we do. So, we like to say we make an investment in the project as if we were investing in ourselves, and actually like showing up and doing that. You know what I mean? It's not just a mouthpiece. It's we put that level of effort into each one of our projects because we want our customers to succeed.
It's also a marketing asset for you, right? When I see someone's website and it's dope, I'm like, dude, who built your website?
Yeah.
So if you can show off that work, I'm sure the referrals have been a big part of that.
So that's a big aspect of it. Treating each project as if it's like there's a business investment level to it. Like I spoke before, right? Like, again, we're not just nerding out on the technology and glitz and glam and moving parts and stuff that's cool. Like we can execute on all of that. But at the end of the day, we're working with businesses that are trying to accomplish some level of business objective, right? So kind of approaching each project from that perspective. Look, we get it. You want to recruit more people or grow your sales team or streamline customer inquiries and things like that, but being able to speak more to what the benefit of the business deliverables are, I think is a difference maker as well. And lastly, I would say investing in our brand and our identity and how we present ourselves to the outside world has been a big difference maker as well. We oftentimes get told that our website is the coolest website somebody has seen, right? So,
right, that helps. You have to show off what you can do on yourself, lead by example.
Right. And I think a lot of agencies in general suffer from like shoemaker with no shoe syndrome, right? Like I hate that analogy, but I think it's a challenge for people where they're so caught up in doing the work that they don't actually take the time to do it for themselves.
100%. And you've got a pretty large team. I'd love to ask, as an agency, have you been able to successfully outsource a lot of the design work? Like, what is most of your team made up of? Do you do it all in-house? And what do you recommend for other agency owners who are trying to scale a marketing agency and might be tempted by reaching for like the cheap overseas options and stuff? Like, what's worked for you?
Yeah, so we do everything in-house. Like I'll start there. So when we say 70 people, it's not like 10 US team members and then like some sort of other company that we subcontract everything to, right? Like everybody is a core part of the humor team. Um, we have about 40 full stack developers on staff. Like that's probably a big portion of who our team is. We have I believe 8 UI UX designers, 4 copywriters, multiple project managers. And I think one of the biggest things that we've had to invest in at this scale is more of a true admin team for the agency as well, right? So for many years, I was a COO of our company. We've recently hired a COO to take over those responsibilities. We have somebody who's the director of people operations. We have finance in house. So it's really, we're at the scale where we're operating like a true mid-sized B2B company. That was a learning curve in terms of building in that front office and kind of having those pieces in place as well. But offshore talent, we're not afraid of bringing people on from the Philippines or India or Eastern Europe or wherever they may be. You just have to make sure that you're putting the right systems in place to make sure that you're getting top talent, regardless of where they're located. And you have to make sure you have the right systems in place to allow those people to be successful and feel like an integrated part of the team and not off on their own island, right? Like those are the two keys to make that work. There's a lot of agency gurus out there right now selling just make the sale and somebody else will fulfill it. Like drop services, I think is the term that's being coined right now. It's I'd never see it. I've never experienced it working. I don't think it works well. At the very least, like you'll position yourself to be more commoditized than you will be like going up market with that type of approach. Like you do need a certain level of control and oversight in order to really put something together that's going to be better than the next thing out there, whether it's websites or SEO or social media or whatever marketing service you want to insert the blank with.
I think the key is the product really needs to be the focus. The product needs to be great, and then people will refer and come back. Because if it's not, and there's not a good product focus, the reviews will destroy you. And if you don't have referrals, your days are limited. But Jeff, this has been an absolute blast. I know you said you have a free template that people can use for a landing page, a structure, and maybe a free website analysis. Talk to me about where people can go for more information and some of those resources that you can share.
Sure. So what I can do actually, Jay, is I can set up a landing page specifically for your audience if you want. And then maybe you can drop it in the show notes to make it real easy. So I can do that after. But if you go to our main website, humor.rocks, you'd be able to find our free website analysis as well as a whole slew of other resources that we have available.
Cool. I appreciate you doing that. Definitely send that link to me. And if you're listening to this or watching this, definitely check in the description for that link. And I appreciate you doing that for the audience, Jeff. Everyone needs help with their website, everybody. So I hope you go in there and take advantage of that. And Jeff, it's been an absolute blast. I want to thank you for coming on board with me today and sharing some of your knowledge on websites. And hopefully we can touch base soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, take care, brother.
Bye.